For everyone calling out Dominique Morgan's actions, I have a question for you. When was the last time you donated to an LGBTQ organization? When was the last time you supported a queer activist? Not left comments, not reposted, actually supported them. I'll wait. Hi, I'm Sam, and this is Cultural Misfits. A few years ago, I was interviewing for a role at GLAAD. At the time, I was working for a different LGBTQ organization, and I was just exhausted and depleted. So the CEO asked me, "How is it going?" And I was honest with her. I said, "I've never disappointed so many people in my life." And she said, "Exactly." She recognized something that I was just understanding about this work. The demands are endless, the need is always urgent, and the resources are never enough. It felt like the harder I tried at the work, the more people were upset with me. By now you've probably seen the headlines. Dominique Morgan, former executive director at the Okra Project, pled guilty after diverting nearly $100,000 intended to support incarcerated Black trans people. When first accused, she denied the allegations. And when asked to submit proof of how she actually used the funds, she submitted bail receipts. And then those bail receipts were proven to be fraudulent by an Okra Project audit. Since an April 29th hearing, Dominique Morgan has been held without bail, and she now awaits sentencing, which will take place May 28th. Let me be very clear. This video is not about to be a defense of fraud. Communities were harmed, people were impacted, trust was broken. But what I am seeing online right now deserves its own conversation. And it seems like a lot of people aren't interested in accountability. They are more interested in cruelty, not just towards Dominique Morgan, but to the Okra Project staff. I am seeing misgendering, I'm seeing people berating others, I am seeing public humiliation, gleeful public humiliation. I am seeing attacks against current Okra Project staff who had nothing to do with Morgan's actions. I'm seeing the same public that is largely uninterested in LGBTQ organizations and their work suddenly become experts in how they operate. Here's what I need people to understand. These workers are perpetually at their tipping point. These organizations are chronically underfunded, staff underpaid, leadership stretched thin. When I was working for these organizations, I was expected to be the therapist, the fundraiser, the strategist, the community organizer, the spokesperson, all before lunch. This may sound similar to other sectors, but don't forget, the work might also be personal for these workers. Imagine you're working for these LGBTQ organizations and anti-trans legislation is being passed weekly. You're getting death threats in your inbox. Donors are becoming hesitant, they're hiding, they're becoming elusive. Community members around you are demanding answers. They're expecting you to solve their problems immediately. And on top of all of that, your identity is being picked apart by the public. That is not ordinary nonprofit stress. That is a pressure cooker. I want to share something personal. After a consulting engagement at one LGBTQ nonprofit, I suffered acute anxiety and memory loss. It wasn't, "Oh, I'm just tired," or "Oh, I just need a spa day" type of anxiety. It was forgetting a conversation I had moments earlier. And this went on for months. And mind you, I was just a consultant, so I got to leave. Imagine if I was full-time staff dealing with that. Imagine if I was leadership. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes these LGBTQ nonprofits perpetuate the harm that they were originally intended to fight. boundary violations, emotional overdependence, martyrdom, crisis culture, unclear expectations, rewarding burnout as though it's an indicator of commitments. Imagine carrying the emotional weight of this community while receiving criticisms from inside and hostility from outside. And to be clear, calling out these systems is not me saying that Dominique Morgan's actions were justified. It's saying that if we just focus on the individual scandal and not the circumstances around it, we learn nothing, and the next crisis will come. So I'm going to ask again, what are you doing to sustain the people doing this work? Because outrage is easy. Instagram comments, those are easy. Public condemnation, easy. But funding, donating, governance, board service, volunteering, operational support, that's harder. So before becoming the loudest voice in the comments section, ask yourself, what have I done to help build the alternative that I claim to want? My heart genuinely goes out to the current staff at the Okra Project. I can't imagine what it must be like to work to advance Okra Project's mission while inheriting this organizational trauma and get publicly blamed for it. And to everybody working for an LGBTQ organization, I know this work matters, but I also know that the people doing the work matter too. If this video meant something to you, I hope you'll share it with a loved one, with a fellow activist. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.